Hello!
And welcome to the workshop.
In this episode, we will sit in our new car for the first time.
Yes.
After 4 years.
Hey, that's proof you can't roll a 2CV.
My name is Oliver, and this is my dad, Andrew. He's a wicked engineer and my next door neighbour. We've always wanted to build a car together. So when I found my dream car in nightmare condition, we decided to embrace it, seize the day and re-engineer the entire car from scratch.
Well, it's looking more and more like a car every single day.
And make your own gear knob kit. There you go.
A K20 A2 from a Honda.
Things don't always go to plan. But when they do, it's a thing of beauty. Building a car and making memories with my dad. One of one, this is Project Mosquito. In between videos, Dad's been super busy because he's started stitch welding the flooring. You know when you play like Gran Turismo and you go into the chassis options and you got lighter weight and lighter weight and lighter weight, and then there's that really expensive option at the end that says seam welded shell, right? That's exactly what Dad's been doing. All rally cars, all competition cars, they're all seam welded. And what that means is they do a small weld and then a break, and then a small weld and then a break. And what this does, it massively stiffens the panel, but if you should ever get a crack in one weld, it won't travel all the way down the seam. But it makes for a crazy strong panel. It's just super time consuming, and that's why we haven't really filmed it. But it's looking absolutely superb. Down, down, down. I was thinking yesterday about the power of this YouTube channel, right? And how it's brought people together. Anthony, a person that I'd never met in person or ever talked to on Twitter, put these Lotus seats that he'd had in his garage from a Lotus Elise in the back of his Peugeot and drove them over 1,000 miles to give them to me. In fact, actually insisted on giving him more money than he wanted. And then my mum fed him pie.
well, having your mum feeding pie is worth a 1,000-mile trip in my experience.
I have the original Lotus seat rails, but we've decided not to use them because our seats are more of a Lotus Europa position than a Lotus Elise position. They're way more reclined. And the Lotus seat rails are mid-a-box section, and they're a bit... They spent the money in other places, shall I put it that way. They hold the seat in really well, but they're not as light as they could be, and we can do better. And also, we don't need a slidey seat because we're having a slidey pedal box. So we can now take advantage of that and make some super cool seat rails that are lighter and better and stronger than Lotus's. Because after all, Lotus had to make money on their car, whereas we don't have to make money on this.
Oh,
so we can take a stupidly long amount of time to make some seat rails.
That's a big advantage. When you don't need to make any money from something, you can really, really take your time and get it as good as you can get it.
Yeah.
So now we're going to drill a hole in a perfectly good floor.
Oh, we had to drill holes in it somehow.
So for the purpose of making the front mount, we're going to just put a standard 8mm bolt from inside the car down with the nut on the bottom. But when we actually build the car properly, we'll have countersunk bolts that come up from the bottom and nuts in on the inside of the car.
For aero reasons. Aerodynamic hardware. You're going to cut up expensive Lotus seat rails.
Yeah.
I've just looked it up, and that seat rail new costs 50 quid. Pounds sterling. And the other one that you've chopped up is 150.
Oh well. Because these original rails for the Lotus seats, the angle's perfectly formed, so it just saves us a bunch of time.
Thank you, Lotus. I don't think Lotus actually made the seats.
No.
Somebody else did.
Same thing again, the bolts are massively long.
Taking forever to tighten them up.
You what?
Taking forever to tighten them up because the bolts are so long.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to come up with an idea for this seat bracket for quite a while. And what we've settled on is like a folded paper design. We thought of like tubular designs, we thought of box section and sheet metal designs, we thought of tube and sheet metal designs, and in the end we've come up with kind of a folded paper monocoque type bracket, because it's quite tricky because it's all funny angles.
Yeah, and it's not just that, we also want a space to use the space under the seat. So if we can make a way to get in there,
yeah,
we can fit a little fire extinguisher in there, or
a little mat pocket, or
somewhere to put your sponge. You know?
Well, the thing, sponge.
Yeah, you know,
what are you doing with a sponge?
A window sponge, you know.
Well, okay. No, because we won't really have a lot of room for door pockets. And I like the Citroen Berlingo approach to, if you can fit storage somewhere, fit storage there. And so there's a lot of space here. And I think Alec is to go on this, to look at us and say, you know, why aren't you putting stuff there? Yeah. He'd probably want little wicker baskets there, or a bottle of gin. But have you heard that about the original stipulation for the door pockets on the original Mini?
Well, he would fit a bottle of gin.
They had to fit a bottle of gin.
Yeah.
Because a traditional bottle of gin's like rectangular and like square. And he wanted them big enough to be able to fit a bottle of gin. Which I suppose if you can fit a bottle of gin, you can fit a half a dozen milk bottles. But gin was chosen, and yet he didn't want a radio because he didn't like people listening to music when they drove. He thought it was too distracting.
It made him spill his gin.
Can we please stop saying cardboard aided design, CAD, every time someone gets cardboard out in a video? It's cliche, but not in a good way. It's like Tourette's. It's like, you know the Princess Anne thing. Anytime someone brings up the Reliant Scimitar, any English person brings up the Reliant Scimitar and someone goes,
oh, Princess Anne had one of those. She got done for speeding.
See? Every single time. And people can't not. You mention Reliant Scimitar, and the thing is, it's a lovely car with many lovely attributes of its own self. And yet the only thing that it's famous for is Princess Anne getting a ticket in it. And like using cardboard templates to for stuff has been around for as long as cardboard has. And yet everyone goes, oh, he's got a piece of cardboard. Card! We know. It's cliche, but not in a good way. But I'll tell you what is cliche in a good way. Clicking like on this video, and if you've got any comments or questions, don't forget to leave them down in the comments below. It helps push this video in the algorithm, and it helps us make videos that you'll like watching. And we often read comments out at the end of the video. So if you've got any comments or questions throughout the video, make sure you leave them below, and you never know, you might get your comment read out at the end.
No, my cardboard's not big enough.
Flip it, tape it.
Yep.
I'm aware that sometimes in videos I can come across as a bit of a know-it-all, right? I know that. But it's because I have, for the last 70 odd episodes, had like a paralytic fear inside me of getting this car wrong. I know there's loads of people on YouTube, loads of YouTube channels out there where they're making stuff and they're like, I've got no idea what I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyway. We do have a really good idea of what we are doing, and the fact is you have to know what you're doing because it has to be right, it has to be safe, and I'm going to drive this car and I want to love this car when it's done. Because wouldn't it be tragic if we put thousands of hours into building a car and then I don't like it at the end? All the money, all the time, and that's, you know, that's a possibility when you're building a car and you're doing something that people don't do and you're doing something that hasn't really, like, our suspension kinematics and stuff hasn't really been done before, because usually when people design cars, they design them for other reasons, not just because they're fun. You know, the MX-5 is probably one of the few cars ever designed that was designed just because it's fun to drive. The Elan is another one.
Yeah.
But not only do I want to like give you the right information, but I want the right information as well, because I don't want to screw this up. I'm only building this car once, and I want to do it right, and so I put so much pressure on myself. And we're now at a point where we can actually relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
well, the thing is, all the good stuff's coming now. All the stuff
now
we've been looking forward to.
Now the fun stuff's coming. Like 73 episodes in, we're actually getting into the stuff that's actually really fun and a joy to do.
You know, the aesthetic things, you know, the gauge cluster, even the steering and everything.
The interior, the body, the arches.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. We really don't know what we're doing. We've never done like body carving before.
No.
But for so long, I've been like really stressed and really like pent up, and I know I might come across as easy going. I don't know. It's funny how you perceive yourself and how other people perceive you are often very different things, aren't they? But we're now getting to the fun stuff.
Yeah,
and I can now like relax and enjoy making videos and not be petrified that we're screwing it up.
Cut the flanges off.
You cut the flanges off?
Oh, no, they're still there, look.
I was going to say.
The little points. No,
you panicked?
No, they're still there, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember when I panicked and I thought the entire back of the car was wrong?
Yeah.
Because it was, yeah. You're going to put a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yeah, you even said to you over and over again, Oliver, it's fine, Oliver, it's fine. It's how it should be.
Yeah.
You're like, no, Dad, no, we've done it wrong.
Yeah, I had like a flipping breakdown over.
Mini meltdown. And 5 hours later, it's still there with tape measure.
The back of the car isn't square. It's not supposed to be square. And yeah.
Well, it is square.
It is, yeah, but it's not
It's not symmetrical. It's asymmetrical
Yeah.
because the engine's offset to the gearbox.
Yeah. Because if you look at like an aerial atom, they centralise the engine, have the gearbox hanging off one end, and use one really long drive shaft. Whereas we don't. We've put the engine central.
And have the equal length drive shafts, which is much more important.
Yeah. Using Honda Civic EP3 drive shafts.
Type R.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they are. These stronger Type R shafts.
Because our paper template might just end up ever so slightly bigger. Only half a mil.
Oh, like making a mould of a mould.
Yeah.
Except that ends up smaller.
Okay. Pull that one to one side for now.
Stop. Hammer time. The most important thing when you're using a vice like this is not to smack the person you're working with in the plums.
Yes, never a good ending. 22. Drill 2 big holes in here now.
It's missing a few teeth. Oh, the joys of cutting thin sheet metal. I do believe our platform isn't quite level.
Get away.
This is our homemade dimple die tool. If you haven't seen the video where we made it, don't worry, there'll be a link to it at the end of this one. We made it out of the end of a bit of a beam from my barn, and it's several hundred years old, and it's very tough stuff. But it's just oak in a lathe, and you lube it with paraffin wax, because that stops it getting stuck. And this is the tool that we used on the to make the inner sills, and also the centre console, which isn't currently fitted. There you go. The wax stops it getting stuck. There you go. And now we need to turn it into an overly oblongy type shape by cutting the middle out and then bending the flanges in. Do you want to explain what's happening, or are visuals enough?
Yeah, this bolt's miles too long. Obviously, this one sticks out 13 mil. This sticks out 26.
There might be a reason for that in a Lotus.
Yeah, but there's definitely one in it.
So we're having some slight alignment issues. It all lined up until we welded this in at the beginning of this episode. Beginning of this episode? Beginning of last episode? I can't remember. It all becomes one in my brain. But we've got two little tacks here. And I think these two little tacks have caused this seat bracket to be misaligned. So what we're going to do is we're going to grind these off. I'm going to grind these off. And then we're going to realign this seat bracket, because if your datum's wrong, then everything that you make from that thing becomes wrong. And you end up with a tiny compound error, and I think that's what we've got. In a normal car, it's not so bad because you've got slots in all your seat mounts, so you can just kind of, if you've got a little bit of misalignment, you can just kind of move it around and wiggle it around. But when you don't have slots and one of your seat brackets goes through your chassis, then it has to be absolutely perfect. And it would appear that we just have a tiny little bit of misalignment. It's less than, what, 3 millimeters? But it's just enough for us to cause a problem, I think.
That's better. Now we just need a slot in this one now.
Yep.
Same as we have the slots in the tops of these.
Yeah, I mentioned that before when you weren't here. You need some sort of alignment.
Right then.
So, do you want to weld it up, or do you want to get started on the other side?
We'll get started on the other side, I think. Yeah, because we've made the front already.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we won't cut it out or bent it or anything.
No.
So we'll make the back seat, because they just need to move the two. We can take this back seat bracket off. Mm-hmm. We can make two mirror image. Mm-hmm. And then put it all together. Obviously,
yeah, then weld it all together and do our drilling and mounting and all that.
All together in one go, yeah.
Okay. That way we're not tempted to sit in it.
Yeah.
That's it, there's a seat right there. Yeah. So you don't want to weld it up and all that. until we've made both sides.
No, do both sides.
And then
In case we need to think about, get to this side and think, oh, well, if we did it on that side, it would have been better.
All right. Just in case you want to completely remake it.
Oh, no.
There's an argument.
No, I'm not going to remake it. It's too much work. But.
Two of those, please. I've got a bit of a confession to make. I might have slightly made a mistake, a slight miscalculation on my part. You see, I said to Dad when we were designing the seat brackets, let's leave the seat bracket lotus bit as wide as we can leave it, because that gives us more transverse rigidity in the floor. The bead rolls give us the longitudinal rigidity and the seat bracket gives us the transverse rigidity. So I said, let's leave them as long as we can, because that gives us a little bit more transverse rigidity for not much weight penalty. I failed to consider the fact that the floor on the driver's side is longer than the floor on the passenger side. So it's created a little bit of an issue. You see, if you look here in the driver's side floor, this bead roll is in a slightly different place. Well, because the seat, well, no, the bead roll's in the same place, but the seat is in a slightly different place because the floor is wider. So this seat bracket just happens to land on a bead roll, which is really annoying for my OCD and makes the bolting in of it more difficult. So this seat bracket is now going to become the passenger side because it's still correct for the passenger side, and we're going to make a slightly shorter one for the driver's side. So good news, everybody, we've made the passenger side seat bracket. Bad news, everybody, we've got to make another driver's side seat bracket that's different to that one. So our template that we previously cut out now goes in the scrap metal box. Whoops. But it's all in a learning process. It's like Dad said before, in case we learn something on this side that we didn't realise on that side. He's annoyingly correct sometimes. So, this bracket, which is the lotus bracket that Dad said would save us loads of time, is different, not just because we've cut it shorter, but the actual profile of the bracket is different from one seat to the other, and all the bolt lengths on the bottoms of the seats are different from one seat to another and each other. So 4 unique bolt lengths.
Not anymore. That's actually the one with a good tooth. If you've ever got a captive nut like this and you need to clean it out, a good little tip is to get a bolt, put a hacksaw line down the thread, and that as it turns round, it cleans, because there's an edge, it cleans out the thread and gives somewhere for the rust to go.
Right, I'm going to take this backing off because it's falling off and it's full of rotten foam, and rotten foam's horrible. We are going to completely reupholster these seats. Not that Lotus Trim Shop didn't do a good job, but this fabric's horrible. There are some beautiful specs of Lotus Elise seats. Like some beautiful leather choices and all sorts, but this is not one of them. And it's also obviously lived a life, but hard to make something nice when it's just dropping dead foam everywhere. They're cool, these Lotus seat covers. They're really clever because they're just basically a big sock that then glues around the edge. I bet someone somewhere makes like replacement covers. I've got a cunning plan though for ours, because I can't just do what everyone else does. I've got a bit of a decision to make and I need your help. I don't know whether to go for an inertia reel seatbelt or 4-point harnesses. And I want your opinions down in the comments below, because I know we have a lot of really well-educated people who have, like, what I mean is by that is well-experienced people. People who have loads of experience with track cars, loads of you have kit cars, I know that, loads of you have like really smart sports cars, loads of you have classic cars. And so I know we have a wealth of knowledge in our community. So I want you to tell us down in the comments below, which do you prefer, a 4-point harness or a 3-point inertia reel seatbelt? Because so far we haven't put any seatbelt mounts in the car, and I'm not sure which to go for. My thoughts up until now has been prepare for both, but I'm starting to sway more towards...
Well, my opinion is always 4-point harnesses.
Yeah.
In a car like this, that is so fast, it's so quick to change direction, you need to be fastened in that car properly.
Yeah.
And the only way to get comfortable to drive it properly is to actually be flipping screwed in there yourself.
Yeah. It's funny, I'm starting to sway towards 4-point harnesses, but like I said, I still want your opinions. But yeah, I've kind of been on the fence, but I was watching Misha, the guy, there's a guy who does Nürburgring videos, that like drives other people's cars. And he's incredible. I think he's an instructor and stuff for teaching people to drive around the Nürburgring, which you make some very interesting videos, and some of which are very like heart in your mouth, because there's a lot of people who were driving around Nürburgring who obviously shouldn't be, and who obviously need a Misha to teach them. But the other day I was watching a video of him driving a Porsche GT car, and it was a GT3 that had been converted to a Cup with the Cup Aero. But an actual GT3 Cup has the same power to weight as this.
Yeah.
It has double the power and it has double the weight almost exactly. Now, yes, it's got carbon ceramic brakes and sticky Cup 2 tyres on and stuff like that. So it's not in a flappy automatic gearbox double clutch. So it would be fast around a lap. But this is still as quick in a straight line in theory, if not faster because it's lighter. And it should still be faster around a corner in theory because you've got less weight. But it's as close as makes no difference for an analogous for what you will experience as a driver / passenger in this car. Like the cornering forces are similar.
Yeah.
And I was watching, and I don't think it's quite sunk in how fast this car will be.
You'll actually need to recalibrate your brain.
Dad, I drive an 18 horsepower. My daily driver has 18 horsepower. Yes, it's less of a recalibration and a complete relearning to drive again.
Yeah.
I was watching it the other day with Marianne, and it hadn't sunk into us just how fast compared to other cars, just how fast it'll be. And so I'm definitely leaning towards 4-point harnesses now.
Yeah. It is a little bit more inconvenient for day-to-day use, you know, doing shopping trips and stuff like that. But you're not going to fit a lot of shopping in this anyway.
No. It's got a boot. And I've got my ridiculously slow, like rolly little daily driver that I can fill with shopping anytime.
4-point harnesses it is then.
Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Like I say, I don't want to make a decision until I've thought it through. And there is the thing of wearing 4-point harnesses in an accident and your neck getting jolted. But I found a company that makes a harness that, in the event of an accident, does allow your body to roll a bit. So there is that.
Yeah, that's the one with the little plastic, like a plastic buckle that breaks.
Yeah.
And it has a loop of...
it just pulls, I think.
A loop of webbing.
And they're all like DOT legal and all EU legal and all that for the road. So if the government says they're fine and the regulations say they're fine, then they're fine. But yeah, what do you think? Have you ever noticed that when you watch automotive YouTube, nobody else uses blocks of wood for everything?
That's criminal.
No, I honestly, right, I actually, no, not joking, I don't understand how, like, Rob Dom gets anything done without blocks of wood. Like, why, when I watch every other YouTube channel, isn't there a pile in the corner full of blocks of wood? Because
Well, we use it for everything.
I've always used it for everything. That's the way I've always done stuff, and maybe it's because they have all the right tools, and we've never had the right tools, and I'm just like, I'm conditioned to, I don't know, to never have the right tools and just be used to it. I don't know.
They look like a bear. The brackets look like a bear.
A bear?
Yeah. The head.
No, do you know what?
Body.
Right? Do you know what the brackets do look like? They look like the Crave Man. Yeah, got the wonky eyes. Oh! Yeah, I'll grab them. Nothing to see here. I hate tool-free chucks. I'll say it again. They suck. Right, we bought these in Spain. We've had these years. Probably had these, I don't know, what, 20 years?
Yep.
Right? And we went into this tiny little hardware shop in like rural Spain. And I said to the guy, do you have any gland pliers? He's like, yeah. And it's just a desk. It's like very British 1970s where you'd go in and there's nothing. Just a man stood at a desk and everything's behind him. Either that or someone that gets robbed a lot. Right. And he says, what size do you want? So Dad goes, biggest ones you've got. So he goes, all right, come. No, he goes, all right. Back in a second. He disappears off, comes back, and he's carrying a pair of gland pliers that big. He's dragging them because he can't remember. Yeah. He couldn't actually lift them. And he's like, they're 400 quid. And then it's like, okay, second biggest pair you've got. Hot. Hot.
So that side, that's for that one.
I know, but it still needs deburring.
Right.
Yep, like this edge here. It's a little bit proud. I've stopped wearing, because it's not cold, I've stopped wearing hats in the workshop. And it's all right, but my quiff's driving me nuts. I feel like My Little Pony every 2 seconds. I'm like, so we may have to put a captive nut on this back corner because of how close it is to the tunnel, and obviously it's under the seat. You physically can't get hands into, well, somebody else might be able to, but I certainly can't get my hand into to put the nut on the back.
We could just make a similar what we've made at the back there.
What?
A cone-shaped one.
Or an insert.
Yeah.
Dad's referring to this. I haven't actually shown you this. In between videos, for those who can't can remember the, actually mentioned it earlier in this video, the I thought I made the back of my car wrong video, even though it wasn't even, I did this. It wasn't you. I did the whole thing. It was me that, what's it did the tubes at the technical terms, workshop terms. It was me that, what do you call it? Coped the tubes and everything. And yet I thought I'd done it wrong. Just, I don't know why. I don't know whether it was a stressful week or what.
Oliver,
God knows.
Oliver, it's called a brain fart.
Yeah, well, whatever. And anyway, no, the meltdown came afterwards. And I'm looking at the car, I'm like, oh my God, I got it wrong. Anyway, Dad made, I mentioned in that video that the gearbox is, no, other side, that the gearbox is very close to the nut that goes on here. So Dad made a welding insert to fit, and now it no longer, once this is chopped to the correct length obviously, it no longer hits the gearbox because a nut is just that bit too big. So yeah, that's our only insert thus far, although there may need to be one for the passenger seat. We don't like doing them, but sometimes they're unavoidable.
Right, so we can put these back on that seat.
Yep.
Might seem strange that we're actually putting the seats in now, because kind of it's like a car with nothing in it. But we need the seats as low as possible. So what we're going to do is when we come to put the steering in, we'll get Oliver sat in the seat and we'll make everything so that it fits him.
Yeah, we'll bring the steering wheel to me, and we'll bring the pedals to me if need be. Although, because the entire chassis is designed around my measurements, it's a Savile Row chassis. It should be spot on.
Okay.
Yay, we're not on any bead rolls. Superb, that. Happy days. And how heavy is it? Not bad, that, does it? Yeah, it's just that bit, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
This poor hole, so it's missing about 4 teeth, bless it. It less cuts and more rubs its way through. There we go. Proud of you. How do you work with a metal watch strap on? It's driving me bananas. I don't usually wear this when I'm doing stuff. Stay. And it keeps slipping down on my wrist.
It is.
Oh, just before you do that, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who's been sharing these videos. A friend of mine the other day put it really well. He said, you know, I've been thinking about car YouTube, and it's like religion. He says, you've got like Magnus Walker, and he's like the vicar of the vicar of Porsche. He goes, and then you've got this person, and they're like the priest of Ferrari. He said, and then there's you, and you've gone, and you've just started your own religion, right? And yeah, and that's one of the issues with just building your own car and just doing it yourself, is that, and just not buying parts. Like if you buy expensive parts, like say you buy like a HKS turbo, you can put in your thumbnail, oh, I bought a world's biggest HKS turbo, and you get loads of clicks because the HKS brings people in. But when you make your own parts, when you just do it yourself, when you're not spending money, whether it's your money or someone else's, it's more difficult to find an audience, and it's more difficult to bring people in, and for us to find like-minded people who will love these videos. And by you sharing these videos, and I know a lot of you do, I know a lot of you every single week, you know, you're on Piston Heads and you're on all these forums and you're sharing those videos, and this channel is really growing and it's incredibly touching. And so I just want to say thank you for like being awesome.
Yep, thanks very much.
Thank you.
So I've just tacked it all into place. I'm just going to now check that the angle of the seat bracket lines up with the angle of the floor. So we don't want to weld it all up and find out it's wrong.
Got seats!
Seats?
In car.
Oh, that one's not fastened in, but...
No, they're not properly fastened in. But they are seats, and they are in a car. Right, I'm going to go get some boots, and then I can sit in, because I'm not sitting in clogs. People think I only own clogs, you know. Because I only wear clogs on videos. Yes, I do own other shoes. I just don't wear trainers. I like leather sole shoes because you can just keep them nice and keep them forever, whereas trainers wear out and you have to throw them away. And this particular pair of boots I've had since I was about 17, 18, and I've probably done more miles in them than most cars have. They've been resold about 6 times. Because when I was in Spain, I used to walk everywhere. And I like stuff. It's like this. I want to make this car so that it wears well. I've been thinking about what colour to paint it because I still haven't made that decision. And I want a colour that wears... Oh, took my watch off before to bolt in the seats. I want a colour that will stone chip well. Because I want to do a lot of miles in this car, and the reality is it has to wear well, it has to patina well, it has to age well. Much like myself. Oh, it's comfy. How much toe room do I have?
Oh, tons. Because obviously the pedal box is going to go under your heels.
Yep.
So all the master cylinders will be on the floor, and it'll be an
underfoot pedal box.
An underfoot pedal box, yeah, which will be hinged from here.
Floor hinge underfoot like they use in a Formula car.
Yep, and we've got 90 millimetres.
90, superb. Because that's 10 millimetres more than we had on the plans even.
Yeah.
So, obviously a little bit of margin there. Thickness of a pencil line, 10 mil and on when it's on plans. But, That's absolutely superb, because that means that when I'm driving, my feet will be kind of raised like that. Obviously this isn't straight or anything, this will be sorted out afterwards when the centre console's in. But when I'm driving, my feet will be up like that. That's superb. Go on, jump in. You've worked this hard on it. In fact, I've been editing the intro that will be on this video, the new intro.
Yeah.
And the last time you and I sat in this car together, we were wearing blue overalls and it was -4. In fact, no, it wasn't. We were sat there and there were pieces of wood under the seats.
Yes, no floor, no
Yeah,
nothing. Yeah.
no floor, no nothing. It was just a tube chassis and we wanted to see how we'd fit.
There's tons of room.
Yeah, and you've slid down a bit. You've migrated, sir. That's better.
That's better.
Isn't it comfy?
It is. You know, you can actually relax back into the seat and
As a passenger, you could properly nod off on a
nod
long
off.
road trip.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely needs a footrest.
And the pedal box will be sliding because Miriam's 5'7" and I'm 6'6", so obviously a fixed seat's no good. Fixed steering wheel's not so bad because I like steering that's quite close anyway, and because your arms are bent when you're steering, it's not so bad. Although Miriam can't see over the steering wheel, which is something that we'll have to remedy.
Yeah, she might need a cushion.
Well, yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? You got the world's smallest car and you need a cushion to see out of it.
That's it. This for those of you who are new here and don't understand how small this car is, it's smaller than a Honda Beat, which can't really be driven by people over 6 foot tall, and yet 6'2",
Yeah.
6'6", loads of room. And you want your legs, you want a decent bend in your legs if you come round. It's really important, no, just back a bit, stop. It's really important when you are getting your seating position right in your car that you have a bit of bend to your legs, because in an accident, if your legs are straight, it knocks, obviously in a frontal impact, it knocks your shin bone into your kneecap. And as someone with bad knees already, you really don't want that to happen because you don't want your shin bone coming through your kneecap. Like, you want them bent, and so in an accident your legs can bend, because your legs can bend like surprisingly easy, can't they? No, but it's a thing. It's why harnesses are a thing, because you don't want to be supporting yourself like against your dead pedal when you're driving and stuff like that. You really don't. It's actively dangerous. And because my legs are bent, and when Miriam sits in here, her legs are bent, we don't need that much movement in the pedal box. So that's superb. And because my arms are bent when I'm driving, that's why I want a elbow pad. You realise why now, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah, super fast steering, quite a large wheel because I'm big, and I always think your steering wheel should be proportioned to your shoulders. You know, like
bike handlebars.
Yeah, like if you're a road cyclist, like mountain bikers use really wide handlebars for stability, but road cyclists use narrow handlebars, usually like the width of your shoulders, for that reason, because you can, it's a natural place to be. You don't want carpal tunnel from holding a tiny steering wheel like that, like a velociraptor, T-Rex. But yeah, that's superb. I'm so happy. Well done, Dave.
Oh, well done, you.
Jolly good job.
Team effort.
Oh yeah, but still.
All right, we need the Mary-M now.
So leg, right? Then just sit in the seat, bum straight in the seat. That's it. You don't need to like hover and then lower yourself. You can just crash down into the seat.
Oh, this is so cool.
It's not going to fall through the floor.
Honestly, the dimple guys look so smart for me.
Yeah, the inner sills look wicked.
Amazing.
Right, sorry, microphone.
Microphone on.
Right, Dad now has the camera for the first time ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just point it loosely in our direction, you'll be fine. Right, are you comfy?
Oh, very comfortable. It's so cool. Last time I've sat in here, we didn't have the flooring.
No, you were.
We didn't
you were
have
sat
many
on a wooden
things.
block.
Yeah. So having the flooring on and many other things on, it's looking like a car, honestly.
Are you comfy? Would you be happy to drive to Morocco in this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Oh my
This
God,
position's
yes.
good, yeah?
Yes. Just the steering wheel.
Right,
We need to figure out
well,
what we're
steering
going to
wheel's
do
on
with the
this
steering
side. This
and the
side, so
pedals.
you're all right. Yep.
Oh, I'm going to drive. Here we go.
Yeah, you don't need to hover when you get in. Just get your leg in and plump your bum down.
Okay, again. Bum down.
That's it, bum down. That's it.
Here we go.
Oh, look at that,
Just
like
a
a
bit of
pro.
practice.
It's loads better than, it's loads easier to get in than like a Lotus Elise or something like that. Like, I've sat in a Mark 1 Elise and I've sat in an Exige, and a Mark 1 Elise has the higher sills and they're loads wider. So it's nothing like that, you can just pop yourself in.
And obviously, Mosquito is going to be lower than this as well, no?
Because I'm not bolted in,
Yeah.
I'm somewhat tentative.
I'm so excited. I'm sweating now. Ooh.
You're wearing a puffer jacket as
Yeah,
well,
I know.
and
I
we've
do,
got the heat roll, so.
Oh, that's super.
Wait. Ah,
We need to do the...
I'm not bolted in.
Oh, it's so good, guys. It's amazing.
Cool.
Really, really nice. Really nice. And all these dimple dies are going to be covered.
No, they're not.
No?
No, the dimple dies are not going to be trimmed. No.
No, but you're not going to put anything on top?
No.
Wow.
No, you're going to be able to
What's
see
that?
the outer sills through.
Yeah.
There's a Porsche, I can't remember its name now, won the Targa Flora in the 50s, and that's just the same, which I didn't know about when we did this. We were inspired by the Bizzarini Manta, which is the car that did the centre driving position first before the McLaren F1. In fact, that car set the stage for everything. It looks like a Diablo flipping 30 years before the Diablo. But yeah, that had dimpled eyes on the outside, which isn't a good idea because it'd fill with rain. But yeah, we just thought it was a nice way to make it aircrafty and lightweighty.
Yeah, I love it. I do really love it.
And of course, the centre console has dimpled eyes in as well. So you know I like my industrial design, and I like my
Yes.
aesthetic but utilitarian.
Yeah.
What's the Dieter Rams thing? Less but better.
Yeah. Oh, Vivian Westwood.
But what?
Buy less,
Buy well, buy less, make it last.
make it last. Here we
Yeah.
go. Oh, I want to say something. 3% of our viewers are ladies, and
That we know of.
Yeah, and in the future, I would like to buy some driving shoes. So please let me know which driving shoes you wear, because it would be very interesting for me, because I don't know anything about them. And yeah, so please let me know in the comments below.
Leave us a comment. You shouldn't need driving shoes in this car. Usually driving shoes are used when you've got like a really narrow toe box, so like where your pedals are. So they're like a bit like a ballet pump. They're like really skinny shoes, right? And in fact, I don't get on with, and people with wide feet don't usually get on with driving shoes just because they are so like ballet pumpy. And we've spent a few thousand hours making a car that doesn't have a narrow toe box because of how wide my feet are. So you shouldn't need driving shoes, but if you want to use driving shoes, you can. So yeah, you get the option.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But yeah, it will definitely feel nice to use driving shoes with a floor-mounted pedal box, because I know you've never used a floor-mounted pedal box before, but they are beautiful to use because the pedals articulate in the same way that your ankle does, rather than it articulating in an opposite way to which your ankle does. So you won't have to lift your ankle when you're accelerating, braking, or using the clutch. You'll just be able to dance across the pedals like Jim Ragnotti.
Oh.
Or Sabine
That's
Schmitz,
amazing.
or what was she called? Who did the Audi Quattro?
Michel Mouton.
Michelle Mouton. Yeah,
Oh, yes. She's a badass.
yeah. Michelle Mouton is a badass.
She is.
Right?
So thank you. Let me know.
Are you gonna resume your job? Come on, back to work, you.
Yes.
Before we do question time, I just want to say I'm shocked nobody's noticed in the comments, but there's two wings behind each seat. There's an eye, there's a nose, and there's teeth. It is a Mosquito. And it's semi by accident, but I'm just shocked nobody's noticed in the comments. I even put it in last week's thumbnail, the first thumbnail that I put up on the video. I even put it up so you could all see it. Yeah, it's got wings and everything, and you won't see it when the body's on. But yeah, it's a Mosquito. Right, so this week 2 people asked the same question, that's why I've picked it. Just Cause Customs and Futton 3230 said, why must mid-engine cars have rake?
Yeah, so they're a little bit higher at the back than they are at the front, and basically what that does is just helps the car turn in. It puts a little bit more dynamics into the chassis and helps the car turn in. Yeah,
whenever anybody talks about like suspension dynamics and roll centers and stuff on YouTube, I've talked about this in a previous video, but they always talk about it stationary, which is silly because the only time your roll center matters is when you're in a corner. And your roll center moves and your weight distribution moves. So when you're like hard on the brakes, you've got more weight on the front wheels because your nose pitches in. When you're on accelerating, the weight transfers rearward. And so your weight's always moving between your tires in your car. I know Ferrari don't believe that 50-50 weight distribution is a good thing in a mid-engine car. They go for 58-42, don't they?
Yeah.
There is such a thing as being too well balanced and it just wants to spin like a top. That's why a lot of mid-engine cars have this myth of being very twitchy and scary, don't they?
Yeah, especially around the very limit, you don't know what it's going to do.
No. And this car is designed so it has like a soft limit rather than it being as fast as humanly possible, but super bitey, because obviously it's tiny. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And every single mid-engine car has rake, be it an MR2, be it a Lotus, be it a Ferrari F1 car. I don't watch Formula 1, so I don't know who's winning, but like whatever, Red Bull F1, they have a bit of rake as well. You know, all mid-engine cars have rake. So yeah, it's a very, very complicated subject.
Yeah, massive. We've actually covered it in previous videos.
Yeah, so if you want to watch those videos, then there'll be a playlist at the end of the beauty shots.
Yeah, so please like, comment and subscribe.
The subscribe button is right next to the like button, hint. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Please be awesome to each other. And if you'd like your comment read out in next week's video, then make it a good one. And we'll see you all in the next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.